You're welcome to the news on NTA International. I'm Lami Ali. The sign language interpreter is Shegun Ajayi. We begin with the headlines. Venezuelan President Maduro appears in U.S. court over charges of narco-trafficking as Donald Trump again proposes annexing Greenland. Guinean Supreme Court upholds presidential election results, declares junta chief Mamadi Doumbouya as duly elected. Also on the news, Bauchi state government reopens all schools after weeks of security threats. Deposed Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro appeared at a New York court on Monday, just days after being seized in Caracas in a shock U.S. military operation. Plus, Donald Trump again proposes annexing Greenland, despite Denmark leaders' call to stop the threats over the island. Details with Chukununso Nwabweze.
Maduro, 63, along with his wife, are facing narco-trafficking charges. The pair were forcibly taken out of Caracas in a U.S. assault on Saturday, in which commandos swooped in on helicopters backed by fighter jets and naval forces to capture them. On Monday morning, Maduro was escorted by heavily armed law enforcement officers to a courthouse in New York, having been transported by helicopter and armored car. Protesters gathered outside the courthouse to oppose the U.S. military operation in Venezuela that led to the capture of Maduro and his wife. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, in a message during a UN Security Council meeting on Venezuela on Monday, called for respect for the principles of sovereignty, political independence, and territorial integrity of states.
In situations as confused as complex as the one we now face, it is important to stick to principles. The prohibition of the threat or use of force. The power of the law must prevail. International law contains tools to address issues such as illicit traffic in narcotics, disputes about resources, and human rights concerns. This is the route we need to take.
Meanwhile, Venezuela's interim president Delcy Rodriguez has created a commission that will seek the release of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. The new commission was announced by the country's communication minister, Freddy Nanez, on a state media VTV, following the interim president's meeting with cabinet of ministers on Sunday. In other news, President Donald Trump has intensified his claim that Greenland should become part of the United States, despite calls by Denmark's prime minister to stop threatening the territory. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, the U.S. president stressed the importance of Greenland to United States national interest.
We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it.
The European Union, in a response to President Donald Trump's repeated claims, said it expects its partners to respect the principle of territorial integrity. EU foreign policy spokesperson stated this while briefing reporters on Monday.
The EU will continue to uphold the principles of national sovereignty, territorial integrity, and the inviolability of borders and the UN Charter. These are universal principles and will not stop defending them. All the more so if the territorial integrity of a member state of the European Union is questioned.
Trump has continuously raised the prospect of the semi-autonomous Danish territory becoming an annexed part of the U.S., citing its strategic location for defense purposes and mineral wealth. Chukunonso Nwabweze, NTA News.
Guinea's Supreme Court has validated an overwhelming presidential election victory in favor of junta chief Mamadi Doumbouya with 86.72% of the votes, just as French court sentences 10 over cyber harassment of First Lady Brigitte Macron. Again, Chukunonso Nwabweze completes the report.
The Apex Court declaration is in conformity with the provisional results announced on Tuesday following the December 28 election that excluded strong opposition contenders from the ballot. The court forced President Fode Bangura, while declaring Doumbouya President of the Republic of Guinea for a 7-year term, announced that he won 86.72% of the votes to beat his closest opponent, Abdoulaye Baldé, with 6.95% of votes. Baldé, who had challenged the election result in a filing with the Supreme Court, has since voluntarily withdrawn the complaint. Fode Bangura said,
Et tous les fils de d'autres nations.
After the court's announcement, Doumbouya made an address to the nation in which he called for support in building a Guinea of political and economic sovereignty and shared prosperity. Doumbouya, 41, who had pledged not to run for office after seizing power 4 years ago, defeated 8 other candidates at the December poll. In another development, a Paris court on Monday sentenced 10 people accused of cyberbullying President Emmanuel Macron's wife Brigitte by spreading false information about her gender and insinuations related to the age difference between France's first couple. 8 defendants were handed suspended sentences of 4 to 8 months in prison, while the 9th man was sentenced to 6 months in prison over his absence from the hearing. Presiding Judge Thierry Donat described the claims of the French First Lady's alleged pedophilia as malicious, degrading and insulting, saying the defendants had received sentences for intentionally harming the complainants. The defendants and the 10th person were ordered to follow a course against hate speech online to be paid at their own expense. 3 individuals considered to be the key instigators online also had their social media accounts suspended for 6 months. Brigitte Macron herself did not appear at the trial hearings in October, but told investigators after filing her complaint that the claim that she is a transgender woman has strongly affected her and her loved ones. In recent years, scrutiny of the couple's relationship has extended to the widespread publication of false information that they have resolved not to ignore, but instead sought legal redress in court. Chukwunonso Bweze, NTA News.
Now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has written 2 letters to the Senate seeking confirmation of 21 nominees for the boards of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC. Here is the report.
Special Advisor, Information and Strategy, Bayo Onanuga. President Tinubu nominated Senator Magnus Abe to serve as the NUPRC Board Chair. Other nominees for the NUPRC Board are Paul Yaro Jezi and Sunday Adebayo Babalola as non-executive commissioners. The President has also nominated executive commissioners to the board. President Tinubu also nominated Adegbite Adeniji as chairman of the NMDPRA board. Also nominated are Kenneth Kobani and Mrs. Asabe Ahmed as non-executive members with other board members. The President urged the Senate to approve the nominees expeditiously.
The Bauchi State government has announced the reopening of all public, private and tertiary schools in the state following a month-long closure due to security concerns. The State Commissioner of Education, Dr. Muhammad Lawal Rimin Zayam, assured students, teachers and parents of the safety and security measures put in place, urging parents to ensure their children return to school promptly. Muazu Hassan reports.
In November 2025, Bauchi State government closed all schools in the state due to security concerns. After 6 weeks, the schools have now been reopened, with Education Commissioner Dr. Muhammad Lawan Rimizem monitoring the reopening, where he praises the turnout of teachers and students.
I was highly impressed by seeing the compliance in our public schools. Our staffs are ready. They look so agile, so determined, so energetic, and so willing to give their best to our students. And at the same time, the students, you look at, they are just coming back, but they are in their numbers. They are filled everywhere. Their number is full to capacity.
Principals expressed confidence in the government's safety measures.
I'm confident with the Ministry of Education, the government is there, and also my team.
In fact, already our student has been informed for the commencement of the last time examination that we're supposed to have taken it, that we are going to start tomorrow, hoping to end on or before next Monday. Then we now continue with the second time proper.
All federal, state and private schools are now open, resuming their full academic activities. In Bauchi, Moaz Hassan, NTA News.
The Minister of State for Works, Bello Muhammad Goronyo, has urged Nigerian youths to remain committed to making meaningful contributions to the development of their communities and the nation at large. He made the call while delivering a goodwill address at the 2025 Caliphate Youth Forum held in Sokoto. The minister said progress is built by individuals who consistently give their best, often quietly and sometimes against great odds, for the good of society, urging Nigerian youths to remain committed to making meaningful contributions to their communities and the nation. The minister reaffirmed the commitment of the Bola Tinubu-led administration to promoting excellence, rewarding merit and creating an enabling environment where innovation and talent can thrive across all sectors of the Nigerian economy. Bello Goronyo, while commending the Sokoto Caliphate Youth Forum for organizing the event, expresses confidence that the forum would further inspire greater service to humanity and national development. Now, members of the National Union of Local Government Employees, NALGE, in Osun State have resumed duties as their various local government councils after spending 11 months off work. The workers had stayed away from duty following a prolonged industrial dispute and security concerns about the leadership crisis in the councils. Femi Afariogun has more.
The 30 local government secretariats across Osun State came alive on Monday as members of the National Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, resumed work after nearly a year of industrial action. The strike, which began in February 2025, was hinged on security concerns and unresolved political issues, but was suspended last week following a directive from the union's national leadership. At Olonda and Osogbo local government secretariats, staff were seen returning to duty under tight security.
We are all from this state, and we are all working for the progress of this state. That they are around today, I'm damn too sure that Osun State will move forward.
So I'll hold them to let's fast track things so the populace and all lagging behind works that has been left behind for over 1 year could hasten up and to come in the benefit of the entire community.
The president of NOGE in Osun State, Nathaniel Gubangbe, cautioned returning politicians against unnecessary distractions, noting that issues surrounding council leadership are still before the court.
We use this opportunity to appeal to them to please wait outside and allow the court to decide what they have filed them to please maintain peace.
The Osun State Police Command had earlier warned miscreants to stay clear of local government secretariats to allow peaceful resumption by the local government staff. In Osogbo, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
Now, while local government workers return to work in Osun, magistrates and presidents of Grade A customary courts in Ondo State have embarked on an indefinite industrial action. The development has paralyzed activities in courts across the state. Abdul Karim Ahmed reports.
The industrial action was declared by a coalition of magistrates, presidents of Grade A customary courts, and legal research officers in Ondo State. In a notice dated January 2, 2026, the coalition directed all members to withdraw their services indefinitely pending the fulfillment of their demands for judicial autonomy and improved welfare. Members were instructed not to report to work, sit in court, or issue, sign, or authorize any judicial orders or documents, whether physically or remotely, for the duration of the strike. Beyond demand for financial autonomy, the judicial officers cited poor welfare conditions as a major reason for the action. The magistrates complained that taxes deducted from their salaries were disproportionately high while their allowances remained low despite the sensitive nature of their duties. A visit to the Ondo State High Court in Akure showed that the gates of the Temple of Justice were locked. Efforts to speak with the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice were unsuccessful, as he was said to be attending to other state matters. In Akure, Abdulkarim Ahmed, NTA News.
Nigeria's Flood Forecasting and Water Resource Management Agency, the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, in 2025 expanded its role in early warning systems, flood forecasting and hydrological data management across the country. Key among the achievements was developing a 5-year strategic action plan to guide its operations, which will focus on innovation, regional empowerment and stronger stakeholder engagements in monitoring and managing of surface and groundwater resources, as well as mitigate the impact of floods on lives and livelihoods. Alika Opanachi Arwa reports.
Among the numerous achievements and plans by the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency, NISA, was the improvement in real-time river monitoring with additional hydrometric stations installed nationwide to enable faster and more accurate flood predictions. The agency also reports progress in seasonal flood outlook dissemination, ensuring that communities, emergency responders, and state governments receive timely alerts to reduce loss of lives and properties.
This particular project that we are doing with OSS called ITAS, we are trying to see how the groundwater in Sokoto-Rima Basin has deflated or affected because of the deflation or the redirection of a river in Sokoto, which made the farmers there abandon their farm sites.
Acknowledging ongoing challenges, including funding gaps, equipment maintenance, and the need for increased public awareness on flood risk information, the agency also emphasized the need to strengthen interagency collaboration with emergency management bodies, state governments, and international partners aimed at translating hydrological data into actionable response plans. Capacity building with continuous training of technical staff and deployment of modern technologies to address the growing impacts of climate change on Nigeria's water system also featured prominently in the discussions.
What government is trying to do now is trying to deploy a mechanism that will encourage people to adhere to these warnings and to prepare better.
Where state governments have already provided flood camps, those communities should be aware of where those flood camps are, and in the event of flooding in their communities, they should be ready for evacuation.
Looking ahead, the agency outlined priority areas such as expanding floodplain mapping, improving community-level early warnings, and deepening data-driven decision-making for national development planning. In Abuja, Alika Opanachi, Arwa, NTA News.
The Nigerian Air Force has recorded one of its most decisive operational years, eliminating 2,351 terrorists through sustained intelligence-driven air operations conducted across multiple operational theaters nationwide in 2025. Defense correspondent Olajide Bello takes a look at the contributions of the Nigerian Air Force to national security in the year 2025.
The year 2025 for the Nigerian Air Force can be best described as the second golden era, with the acquisition of over 50 platforms to effectively deploy air power in various theaters of operations across the country. This effect enabled surface forces to advance, reclaim contested areas, and stabilize vulnerable communities, while significantly reducing the operational tempo and morale of terrorist and bandit groups. In the maritime and energy security domain, precision air operations in the Niger Delta delivered equally strategic dividends, with targeted strikes leading to the destruction of hundreds of illegal refining reservoirs, 126 storage tanks, and several boats used by oil thieves and criminal syndicates. The success of these missions further highlights the expanding role of air power in safeguarding critical national assets and supporting Nigeria's economic recovery. attributing these gains to the sustained support of the federal government under the leadership of President Bola Tinubu. The Chief of the Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Aneke, noted that deliberate investments in modern air platforms, personnel welfare, training infrastructure, and enabling policies have been critical to the NAV's enhanced operational readiness. Another major milestone is the improvement in research and development efforts of the Nigerian Air Force in turnaround maintenance of its platforms, fabrications of parts and repairs of its intelligence, surveillance and reconnaissance cameras, saving cost and reducing delays in deployment of platforms for air operations. In the calculus of modern warfare, every civilian life is a strategic priority, and that is what birthed the Civilian Harm Mitigation and Response Action Plan by the Nigerian Air Force. This is to mitigate collateral damage during NAF operations as one of the non-kinetic approach to build trust and confidence among the citizens sworn to protect. Towards the end of the year 2025, the Nigerian Air Force and by extension the Armed Forces got a pat on the back by President Bola Tinubu for the swift intervention to restoring democratic rule to Benin Republic, and also the successful ferry flight of the NAV 913 C-130 Hercules for depot maintenance in Lisbon, Portugal, in line with an updated flight plan and established aviation safety procedures. Looking ahead, Air Marshal Aneke assured Nigerians that the service will intensify kinetic air operations in 2026, while continuing to uphold strict adherence to rules of engagement and international humanitarian law as the force continues to be willing, able and ready. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Still on security, the Nigeria Police Force is the agency primarily responsible for internal security assignments in the country. Like many other years, 2025 also came with its own internal security challenge. But how effective was the force in responding to crimes? Our correspondent, Francis Form, has a review.
2025 opened on a troubling security note. From the Elwata attack in Benue State to the mass abduction of students in parts of Kebbi and Niger States, Nigeria once again confronted the grim realities of banditry, communal clashes, and violent crimes that tested the nation's internal security architecture. These incidents, alongside rising cases of kidnapping, armed robbery, and farmer-herder conflicts, placed enormous pressure on the Nigeria Police Force, renewing calls for deeper reforms, stronger manpower, improved welfare, and a more rights complaint policing system. It is against this backdrop that a wave of decisive reforms began to reshape policing in Nigeria. In a landmark move to restore public confidence, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, barred police personnel from involvement in land dispute, an area long associated with tension, extortion, and abuse.
Officers have no business escorting parties for land recovery.
To further strengthen accountability, the IGP abolished the public parade of suspects, ending a practice widely criticized as degrading and contrary to the principle of innocent until proven guilty. In line with constitutional provisions, the police leadership reaffirmed the 24-hour detention rule, warning that no suspect must be held beyond 24 hours without court order. Even more significantly, the IGP expressly prohibited the arrest or detention of suspects' relatives, marking a major human rights milestone. Operationally, the force confronted emerging security dynamics with renewed resolve. In 2025 alone, 11,085 suspects were arrested across diverse crime categories. Police operatives recovered 1,766 firearms, 13,487 rounds of ammunition, and successfully secured the release of 1,611 kidnapped victims, reuniting them with their families nationwide. following the Elwata attack in Benue. Rapid response deployments led to the arrest of 26 suspects within 5 days, underscoring the force's zero-tolerance stance on violence and impunity. A special intervention squad established by the IGP delivered major breakthroughs. Joint operations with the Office of the National Security Advisor led to the rescue of 38 worshippers abducted, as well as the recovery of kidnapped students in Niger and Kebbi states. In a major intelligence-led operations, notorious bandit kingpins were arrested, dismantling a syndicate that had terrorized communities across Zamfara, Katsina, Niger, and Kaduna states. Recognizing the evolving nature of crime, the IGP established the Anti-Money Laundering and Terrorism Financing Units, which dismantled criminal financial networks, including the interception of 129.5 billion naira in counterfeit currency in Kano State and 160,000 in counterfeit US dollars in Nasarawa State. The Nigeria Police National Cybercrime Center also recorded unprecedented success, securing the conviction of 85 foreign nationals linked to a high-profile cybercrime syndicate and the arrest of 130 suspects in Abuja during coordinated cybercrime crackdowns. On manpower development, 20,000 new recruits were absorbed into 2 batches, while the Nigeria Police Academy graduated 1,187 assistant superintendents of police, injecting fresh leadership and professional capacity into the force. Infrastructure and modernization also recorded landmark gains. The Nigeria Police Trust Fund delivered smart divisional police stations and modern barracks nationwide, while crime databases were fully digitalized, marking the end of fragmented record-keeping. President Bola Tinubu also assented to the Police Institute Establishment Act and the Nigeria Police Trust Fund Amendment Act 2025, providing sustainable legal and funding framework for modern policing.
It sees that now we have an executive that has the will and that is willing to push this policing agenda forward.
Over 2 billion naira was disbursed to families of officers who paid the ultimate price in the line of duty.
And that does it on the news at this time on NTA International. We thank you for watching. I'm Lami Ali. Shegun Ajayi has been the sign language interpreter.